Good evening and welcome to Tok Piksa. Late on Tuesday afternoon last week, a group of foreign tourists and their Papua New Guinean porters were brutally attacked along the Black Cat Trail in Morobe. The 12 porters bore the brunt of the attack. While 2 managed to escape, another 2 of them were killed. The remaining 8 were hacked on their arms and legs. On Wednesday, the men were airlifted to Leh by helicopter. The manner in which they were attacked was not made clear until the recovering porters recounted events late last week. Their attackers forced them to lay face down before they indiscriminately speared and hacked them with bush knives. Scott White reviews the events of the last 14 days.
I've been looking for something before. Tinting belum di run away one and no gat. I just slept so na. And what to buy me die o. So somehow we must all katim it so and me come start lousy.
Povi Sovi was one of 8 porters airlifted to Leh on Wednesday last week. The father of 4 says he is glad to be alive after the attack that left 2 of his mates dead.
Sampla blumi play all run away. Na mi pla sampla mosem mi pla sleep. Now all start low. Tokimol white man talk. Brokimol tent blona talk. Askimol money stall away. So boss Mary blumi pla lo trek now am kerap nan talk. And step inside lo tent blongena. Goksim more money. So goksim money pinis that's all you saw. Ting blumane mol luki mo semi pla planti manginao. I must start lot chopping me plan now.
Late on Tuesday, the 10th of September, Povi and his mates and a team of Australian and New Zealand trekkers were confronted by a group of 6 men armed with a rifle, a homemade gun and bush knives.
Me pla start walking more fire rain too and come down in a place called to Osenpla.
The tourists were attacked and robbed. The porters bore the brunt of the attack. 8 of the men were slashed on the arms and legs in what many described as an act of senseless brutality.
Chopping me go. Rounding come back by chopping leg blumi play at the walk. Chopping me go finish now. Narapla boy walk chopping me time. Arapla online and all sing out. To in up here.
Time all come and say, Mula no compla no don't something stuck close to Mula by some depending Mula. So just talking to Mula where I sleep go down. Mula kirap them by Mula by shooting him the gun. So what among you sleep go down one ma bosida no me. What come out of so lemosem. What talk to Lomangi no cut him. Same time to him saying, "Mula oke muvlo kira one me, knife kishida so."
Like the 8 others, Povi was stunned. He was forced to lie on his belly on the ground, and he saw them cut the man next to him.
Me silip parelo narapla man biangaya mosem. Me stop los tulungena mol kilimen. Lo ay blumi streta mol kilimen. Brokim kurublongan sud kamocha ita miluki. One knife. Mosem miluki me no gatoto. How me sleep o sem me sleep. Na narapla mol chop him up. Hana leg dongena isawe. Blatem waste na. No say life too.
Time sleep lem so me got him stab so kati mon man kan. Kati kama blomina so me take off. Miron go tell bus no so me shape. Kati mol finish lem mol tourist mol go. So lo to boy mar lo boko bot. Boso puti mo pota masol lo go to puti mo. Lo to boy mo just sleep so. So me stab no so me go próximo 7 santen na passing blood. Na 11 o'clock na so mo doctor come up na so mo save mo passing santen.
2 of the leaders of the group died minutes after the attack. Dick Rubin, an experienced guide from Salamoa, has traveled the Black Cat Trail many times. The attack on the 10th of September has changed his life. He will be scarred for life, and he may not be able to walk again as his injuries are among the most severe.
presentación está por el tiempo o que lo mira que no sabe está solo sin está hablando y ya me got los boys na on the girl na time ako balo tracker nere lumikaran on the girl gan.
Dick and Lionel sustained serious injuries. That means whoever want to inflict the wound purposely with intention to disable them for life, that they'll never be able to come up with any tourist again from Kasinik down to Salamaua.
6 days after the attack, another member of the group died from other complications. A veteran guide of the Black Cat Trail, Lionel Aguilo, died Sunday afternoon. The Black Cat Trail attack in the Morobe province is one that will probably linger in our minds for many months to come. The images of the severely injured porters and the bodies of the two brave men carried by chopper into Leh will continue to leave many baffled about the motives behind this attack. On the morning of Wednesday, the 11th of September, all 8 victims of the Black Cat incident were brought into Angao Hospital. The hospital, which was already struggling with limited resources and manpower, was put under enormous pressure as staff worked to treat the 8 porters as well as victims from a separate vehicle accident that happened outside of Leh City.
We've been down with our manpower sort of things. The theatre facilities are not working up to the expectations we are having. So how chances of getting emergencies from, once when they're coming right up to theatre, the normal expected emergency services which are to be provided by a hospital is not really that. What we usually do is we bring them into the wards as long as they're stable. Once they're hemodynamically stable, we find space for them up in theatre. And if and when we have chances of bringing them up to theatre, obviously we do what they're supposed to.
A shortage of bed space, staff and equipment at one of the country's important hospitals drew criticism from members of the public as well as political leaders. On Saturday, the member for Bulolo, Sem Basil, paid a visit to the Black Cat attack victims and raised concerns over the state of the hospital. He called on the Health Minister, Michael Malabag, to step in.
Now me come into the Angao Hospital and me find out all these patients now they come to Bulldog track incident. Now all Arab patients all Arab unrelated accident. There all this only you got big backlog of operation. Now me understand Angao now we got only one operating theater table and the others are not functioning, and the staff has been trained from 15 to 9 staff. Therefore, they can only operate 8-hour shift. Missing out Health Minister Honorable Malabak.
In order to understand the problems Angao faces, the underlying factors that places Angao under pressure also need to be understood. Papua New Guinea's population, which is increasing by 250,000 people every year, means that public health facilities like Angao have to deal with a high number of births every year.
Ausik bed, sanin mastretim na mipla mas. Siran gupla bed na. House tu mastretim. No mipla mama tu mipla ka bed, mipla oklo painim. Hat mipla oklo pilim pain, pikinini oklo. Punda number mipla oklo. Karim outside kam oklo. Gima time no mipla.
At Angao, the number of babies born annually has doubled from 4,000 to 8,000 in 5 years.
Just mi plasta po mi plasta lo time long all colonial times we had too long kisim help him now tason mosem na mi play work na stop ya mi play pili mosem all gata heavy kamanta lo mi play immediate people plasta wante mol all mama now work na stop ya.
The hospital, which was built for a population of 50,000 in the colonial days, is now having to deal with a city population of nearly 500,000 people. Angau's long-standing problems are being addressed, but not at the pace that can keep up with public demand.
We've done a corporate plan, and that corporate plan is a blueprint that sets the way forward for Angau to move forward. And of course, staffing issue is one of those in the highest on the agenda. And what we have done is in 2007, we actually did a restructure of the whole hospital workforce to make sure that this human resource development is in line with our aspirations of building a new hospital. So initially we had a staff ceiling of 409. In the re-establishment, we've requested an increase to up to 726.
While Angau's corporate plan identifies those key areas of concern as well as solutions, the full implementation of that corporate plan has been a major challenge. The whole hospital has about 100 positions that are yet to be filled by qualified staff because there's a general shortage of health professionals in the country.
Despite our numerous attempts to recruit, I think we all know publicly that there is a shortage of distribution of health workers, all cadres of health workers right across the country. And of course, at the hospital, due to the shortage, with the increased demand of service, that's actually impact the service that we can provide in Angau.
With the high number of nurses and doctors leaving the public health system for jobs in the private sector, public hospitals are unable to meet their demand for staff. Recently, Angau made a request to government for foreign doctors to be employed, and while there are positive strides towards the employment of foreign labor, Angau won't be getting the staff numbers it needs anytime soon.
Hello again, you're watching Tok Piksa. After 2 years of investigations, the Independent Task Force sweep under Chairman Sam Coim is arresting and charging people involved in the pilfering of millions of kina from government coffers.
We got some indication from the judiciary in the recent past that the corruption-related cases will be expedited. So that's a good indication we got from the judiciary. And by this time, justice will not be delayed.
In this month alone, the ITFS has arrested and charged 2 senior lawyers and 1 acting department secretary. According to ITFS investigations, the lawyers are from 2 of 5 separate law firms who allegedly received 30 million kina from the Department of Finance before channeling it to one single known law firm. Also this month, Justice Minister and Attorney General Kerenge Kua announced that lawyers are alleged to have defrauded the state of an estimated 1 billion kina over the last 6 years. He said of the current 1,100 registered lawyers in PNG, there were a few who were bringing serious disrepute to the legal profession. He warned that the O'Neill-Dion government was serious about curbing fraud engineered by lawyers and was now focused to pounce on the really big fish. For Sam Coim and ITFS, the fight inside and outside of the courtroom continues.
The government, under the Prime Ministership of Prime Minister O'Neill, has committed that political will, and that's how that political will has been translated to the team that I have been heading all this time, and also the ICAC legislation that is coming up. The ICAC legislation is a good initiative because it will then take over from what the task force has been building on. I mean, the ICAC will actually build on from what the task force sweep has been doing, and it is a proper permanent arrangement. So we have no problems with it. It will. We are envisioning that it will subsume the functions and the cases that task force sweep has into a more permanent sort of arrangement. At the moment, we're just an ad hoc investigation team established by the government. But we have created that momentum that ICAC can now build on to perform an important role. We're believing that the situation is beginning to improve as well, and that those flagrant abuses, people now know that at least someone is watching over their shoulders. That is the amount of deterrence that we are creating through this work. But again, as we know, corruption is an element of growth, and when you close in on one area, people always try to devise new ways to steal and disguise the sources and cleverly orchestrate in such a way that it is not detected. So the trend has changed. The trend of corruption has changed to a certain extent when we started doing this work. And that's an area that is improving, but it needs a lot of work.
As for us, what we want to see is the conviction of those who have stolen from us.
The fight against corruption, corruption is multifaceted and it has many fronts. All of us, it needs all of us to work together to combat corruption. Wherever we are, there is always an incident of corruption that faces us, and that's the moment when all of us have to fight it together. The team that I'm heading, I'm just one person, I'm the head of the institution, but there are people who are working tirelessly to make it work. And those are people from respective agencies of government who are tirelessly committing the time, resources, family time, whatever, to make these things happen. And it needs good people to make it happen. So that's the call that we want to extend to the public is they have to continue to speak out, they have to continue to expose corruption, they have to continue to support. And those people who are praying and standing with us in prayer, they have to continue to pray so that the good Lord will help us to advance this cause.
That's all for now on Tok Piksa. See you next time.